Usually I like to be quite punctual, but things I don't know what's happened. I have a deep shame about it, actually. I actually feel really bad about it. I am Daniel Kapadia, known as DDK in the online communities, in the esports community in particular. And I used to be, well, I've played games competitively myself for 18 years, I guess, more or less. So I've always been in and around esports. I was like, Quake was my sort of pro experience, but I was always obsessed with just competitive video games. I think it's just always just so fascinating. I loved it. And eventually I started making content around it and became a commentator, and now here I am.
Trade fragger though, Grip comes out to make things lighter, but Cold Zero back out.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's fantastic, what a flick.
Oh! Secret skill. The interesting thing is, because I've been around for so long, and esports as we know it now is kind of new. CS, like most people probably have never played CS 1.6, for example, which to me is like crazy because that's still way older than CS:GO. So people might not know that I played Quake at like a professional level, and I myself can be very good at video games, you know, with all that experience that I have, and so that's, I think, one of the things that really helped me to feel like, you know what, I have my own unique take. And I feel like people will see me with James a lot of the time, and a lot of it's about that kind of dynamic in isolation. But outside of that, I mean, this is why it's always really funny, right? Because James is always like had a big personality, and he's always gonna say that he's gonna own everybody at Counter-Strike, and he plays 1 million hours. And you know, I rarely touch it, but you know, the actions speak louder than words and all. And so yeah, I'm pretty good at video games myself. And also the other thing that people might not know, and I think they're getting to know, that's why I started my podcast, is that I am really sort of dialed into and very analytical when it comes to the mental aspects of the game. That's something I think is so fascinating. And all the playing experience I have over the years, and all the things I've noticed over the years, observations I have made about myself and the players and people around me, it really adds to sort of a unique insight that I think that I have. And I just want to, that's again, my podcast is really where I'm trying to find a way to get that out to people, because that's like one of the things that makes me a bit more special.
Well, let's look at it this way. No one has a back strong enough to carry James. He is level 3 on FACEIT after 1,500 games. He's not in ELO hell, he is
I think what I want to see in the future for esports is just a continued development of it. I think it's very easy sometimes to be very critical and to want it to be a bit more organized in some ways, you know, maybe a more optimized ecosystem. You know, we have issues, you know, let's say in you know, just, you know, having an oversaturated market insofar as like too many tournament days for players, and you know, traveling around, and also the talent, and you know, it can be very taxing, and that can be very difficult, and it can you know, hinder growth in some respects. But it is so very new, and I think we have to remember that, and it's sort of slowly over time balancing itself out, and so I think it's eventually going to get there. So I really would love to stay involved as long as I possibly can, because I want to see it get there, because I think that there's some very special things about it as far as sports are concerned that are not really considered. For example, Counter-Strike, I think from a mental perspective, is incredibly taxing for a huge variety of reasons, and I think it's really undersold. I think people don't really realize yet, but I think as time goes on, I think people are going to really start to realize that this is actually very, very cool. It's not just some kids playing some video games, it's actually a lot more than that. Thanks for watching the video. You must have enjoyed it because you made it this far, and now you see me. So how about some more? Some over there? We've got some over there. Take your pick.